So what on earth has love got to do with that? I think everything. In 2012, my partner came to me and he said to me that we must buy machines in the business and then start mining Bitcoins. And I said to him, what's this Bitcoin stuff? He said, no, the growth is phenomenal. And I said, okay, but what is it? And he said to me, no, it's a digital currency. And I said to him, stop this. This is nonsense. I mean, where's the value in a piece of digital currency? I mean, I was seriously skeptical. And I remain skeptical until I discover the truth about cryptocurrencies. And it's nothing about the Bitcoin and Monero and stuff like that. It's got 100% to do with the blockchain. And when I discovered that, my life changed, because that is, and I can tell you that this is going to be the future. This is not going to be the future. This is the future, and we're in the future. Our luck at this stage is that we are in the early adopters stage. So perhaps I've got somewhere on PowerPoint a thing. Let me find it. So we are in this stage, the awareness stage. And we are busy in this, let's call it bear trap, where there's a massive sell-off. But that sell-off happened simply because the institutional investors, what they did was they missed the first movers, that advantage that they had, because they were just as skeptical as I was. And they said, no ways, this thing is not going to work. And then it crashed, and then it stood up, and then it crashed, and then it stood up, and then it crashed and stood up. And then it started running crazy towards the end of December 2017. And then they realized, but wait a bit, we're missing the boat here. And they started getting in, and they forced the market down. And I believe that we are very close to this over here. But the reason why that is because there's such an incredible future ahead. Now, again, what on earth has love got to do it? We are busy with the L in the ruler's principle, the acronym, and the L stands for love. And that's why I ask, what's love got to do with it? Because the moment that you understand the blockchain, there's no way that you can't love it, especially if you see the potential. So I love the blockchain because it's decentralized. It's a transaction ledger. It's secured by cryptography. In other words, that simply means it's a piece of mathematical code. It's a digital code that's there, that is unbreakable, that is unhackable. And that is amazing. I study Descartes. You know, in Descartes wanted to find out, but what is the truth? And the closest thing that you could find that is the truth is math. It's to do the sum. And if you're my property student, you will know that according to the property pro investment system, I would scream, I would yell, I would shout, I would curse, I would say, do the bloody sum, you know, because people keep on coming back to the emotion, and you can't make emotional decisions when it comes to investment. We as humans, the psyche is not there. We are laggers and ziggers in principle. We are not conditioned and trained to become zaggers and blizzards and to become wealth creators. Right. So the moment that we understand that it's a sum, then, and only because of that, when I discovered this, I knew that this is something that I can trust. But at the same time, it's trustless. It's not based on a system of trust. A system of trust is where a bank says or a government says, okay, this is how money works, or this is how the legislation works. This morning I read that here in South Africa, they've pushed it through Parliament. I think the votes were 209 versus 91 to expropriation of land. I don't think South Africans understand what the heck they are busy doing. And those politicians, I know they know exactly what they're doing, but the masses do not understand it because they're simply uninformed. One of the paragraphs and one of the sentences that they want to change is that land is not limited to property is not limited to land. Okay, so they're not talking about just the land; they're talking about property. It's crazy, and therefore it's because I cannot trust them, and that I started looking at alternatives. luckily for me, we're in the most brilliant, perfect time ever in history for something like that to open my mind. Right, it's immutable, it's consensus driven. In other words, now it's not, it's everyone has got a say basically into this. It can be made public or keep secret depending on how you want to use it, and you can use it for currencies. In other words, the blockchain is there, and then there's these little layers on top of that, and you can use it for currencies, you can use it for smart contracts. It's really going to change the world. And as I've said, there's something like 42 industries where that blockchain already changed the nature of that industry. So why on earth do I love it? I think that you can begin to see that that this is something amazing. I love it when I discovered that this is a digital or a virtual currency that uses this cryptography for security. That cryptography, that code, that in my mind, that math, that changes every single thing. And the thing that really drove me in the beginning, and now even 10 million times more, was the fact that it's not issued by a central authority, that theoretically where a government can decide or intervene or manipulate or interfere. That is gone. I can sit in South Africa under the jurisdiction of the Republic of South Africa. The Republic of South Africa, by the way, is incorporated as a security. So it is not what we think. We're not free. We need to understand this. And when I saw this, I knew. And the more I study about this, the more I come to the realization that this was specifically at least built for me. This problem that we've got, and I'm not going to talk about the smart contracts, I'm only going to stick with the currency, the cryptocurrency. Money has got a lot of issues and a lot of problems. One of them is security. I mean, you can steal the stuff, and the same, you can steal cryptocurrencies, but someone needs to get to your private key, because otherwise they can't steal it. A great thing about, with a bank, everyone knows it and they've got access to it, and SARS got access to it, and the whole world's got access to it. But with cryptos, although everyone knows about every transaction, no one knows your name. There's no bank involved, there's no humans involved, there's no risk of individual computer failure. So although I'm running it on my internet, as long as there's a node somewhere in the world in other words, a computer that is operating, everything is still there. So they simply start it up and it's there, and it's on thousands of different computers or nodes. It's a lot simpler to do. At the moment, in order to buy it, that's complicated. But that's going to change, and it's going to change over a period of time. There's no middleman, and with a middleman, I mean a central bank, where they decide how much money we're going to print, and is there quantitative easing and stuff like that, and what the inflation rate is going to be. There's nothing like this in the cryptocurrency market. There's no double spending. There's no small amount of people that are making major decisions, like I've just said, where they can decide, listen, we're going to manipulate the interest rate, or we're going to cause inflation. Inflation, depression, recession, all of that are man-made. It is politically, financially inclined to cause those things. And there's people that is making billions and billions out of that. With Bitcoin as an example, there's a clearly defined number of units. It's 21 million, that's the limit. In other words, the moment that it's defined, the value must increase over a period of time. There's no secret transaction fees, and it is really increased privacy. This is the reason why I love it, but I want to take it one step further. This cryptocurrency system, maybe let me give you a very quick introduction to that. It's a decentralized digital currency system. This is what we're talking about. It solves issues regarding the trading and storing. It should not be trading, it should be trading and storing of value. And another thing that I like, it's exact, it's universal, it's secure and easy to move. In other words, a Bitcoin here is exactly the same as a Bitcoin in China. It's exactly the same as a Bitcoin in America or anywhere in the world. Here with the rand, the fluctuation versus the dollar, on a moment-to-moment basis, there's a fluctuation. So money and contracts, we are moving into the data world where it's driven by data or data, depending on where you are in the world and how you pronounce that. But it's not the theism anymore where okay, God will provide, or the forces outside of us will provide, or humanism where we rely on a person. Now it's dataism. In other words, we rely on data. And I trust data 1,000,000 times more than what I trust the people, for example, at the moment in our government. Right? And I've got nothing against the government, don't get me wrong. I'm not into politics and stuff like that. They're all bloody corrupt. And they will always be corrupt because absolute power corrupts absolutely. That's what I believe. And this is what I like about cryptocurrencies. There cannot be absolute power, or not that I'm aware of. So this is, the cryptocurrencies is the internet of money. And the moment that we start seeing that in that sense, I think, to me, it started to making a lot of sense. And there's massive, massive growth potential. Now, the question that I ask myself is how big can this be? Well, if we look at the money markets and money floating around, let me quickly go and see. This to me is actually fascinating. So when we look at the market capitalization, this is a little bit overvalued because this little thing comes from last year. But let's say that is cryptos. The biggest companies, we can see that this total market, if we compare that to the bigger companies in like America, we find that this is the market capitalization is small. If we compare it to currency, money as such, it's a fraction of that. If we compare it to gold, and remember, it's a store of value. Bitcoin is a store of value. We see it's small. If we look at the stock market, and it's going to take over the stock market, I can assure you, just like it's going to take over the gold market. It will never completely take it over, but it's going to simply because of the security and because it's so easy to transport and to trade off with, it's unreal. So the global money supply, if we start looking at that, this can replace, or it can have a big impact on that. In terms of global debt, real estate, I am in a position at this stage, I'm not doing it and I don't plan to do it, and maybe I'm going, I'm not sure. But I can take my property and unlock that property on a blockchain where thousands of people can have access and own a part of my house, as an example, or my camera, or my painting, or it's unreal what is busy happening here. We right there. And this is just the first wave that is going to come. And the institutional investors, they are going to drive it to the public. So we are really sitting in the beginning and this wave. And I'm so fortunate that I'm in this. And I've almost missed it because of my skepticism. You know, where I thought, this is just a lot of nonsense. Now, of course, things are completely different. So the last thing that I want to mention is the growth potential. And, you know, very few people talk about it, but there is absolutely no asset class, even though Bitcoin has dropped with more than 82% over the last year. Let's go there quickly. Let me show you something. So if we go to the reports on the Dreyer crypto system and we look at the projection reports, I'm going to do a demo. Yeah, it's today's date. Let's go and have a look. So if we look at this portfolio of cryptocurrencies that I've put together, of course I've hid the names and stuff like that. But that's a growth of 1,694. I think yesterday it was 1,706%. So we're literally down 12% in a single day. But in cryptocurrencies, that is nothing. But what I want to show you actually is this. And that is, if we look at Bitcoin, from the 1st of January 2017 up to today, the growth of Bitcoin, and I can tell you that is a Bitcoin, although it's symbol A, it's 299%. There's no other asset class that could give you a 299%. This is without applying the Dreyer crypto strategy. And if you take this over a 3-year period and a 4-year period and a 5-year period and a 10-year period, you'll find that there's no better asset class than Bitcoin. And if you can apply the Dreyer crypto strategy, I'm not even talking about the wealth creators method. Right, so let's see if I can find it quickly. There we've got it. Just by applying the strategy that I'm following and that I've worked out, you push that up to 798%. Where on earth can you find a 798? So the moment that you take a asymmetrical uniform positioning like we are doing, we are mitigating the risk down. It's not about Bitcoin. Bitcoin is 798, and we see that the moment that we've got 44 positions, it changes it, and the growth on that then runs at 1,694. This is incredible, and we are part of this. And this is why I can't keep this to myself. I need to share, because I'm a teacher. In 2002, Tanya said to me, honest, go and teach this stuff. At that stage, it was property and it was businesses. Now that I discovered this with all the experience that I've got, this is something worthwhile sharing. And I hope that you're going to take it seriously, because I think that this is a wave that is going to be unprecedented, and the sky's the limit, depending on how we're going to approach this. And the only thing that I'm not sorry for a lot of things, and to be the truth, I'm not sorry that I've missed out so long, because maybe because of that, I'm 10 times more passionate than what I would have been if I started in 2012 as an example. And I think I can make a much bigger impact simply because of this skeptic me that prevented me in the past to open my mind and to see the truth. I simply could not see it. And maybe I can help 1 or 2 people to see it. And please don't flip and rush in and sell anything, and start small, because with that kind of growth, within 5 to 10 years, even if you start with $1,000, in 10 years' time, I promise you that's going to make a massive, massive impact. A bigger impact than anything else. And don't get panicking when the market starts to drop. That is the time when this little program, let me show you. This is where this DCPI comes in. It simply tells me, listen, the market is crazy scared at this moment. They don't want to touch, and this is the reason why we can get the bargains that we're getting. Right, so the next lesson, we're going to look at the E, and that stands for event.